it, I just seem to see the world different. It ain't Republicans or labor rules, it's mental illness. The internet is only interested in left opinions. Cancel culture's got more power lately than the First Amendment. If you don't like it, leave. We will not defund police. We don't want no riots in our neighborhoods or in the streets. We respect freedom of speech. We protect what we believe. We don't want nobody dead, so please do not tread on me. In America, your freedom ain't free. In America, got soldiers dying overseas. So America, you say what we believe. My America, I won't ever take a knee. Our freedom is the reason you can disrespect our flag. If my stars and stripes offend you, then I'll help you pack your bags. America.
Good evening, America! How y'all doing on this beautiful Tuesday evening?
What?
I am your friendly neighborhood bearded weirdo, coming at you loud and proud as I always do, and with magnificence upon my face. How y'all doing, America? And right here to my left is my best friend, my compadre. He is my brother, and he also happens to be my pastor. He is the one, the only, the Pastor Gary Podosek. And then behind the curtain, the man pushing all our buttons, sometimes in good ways, sometimes not. But he is pushing them nonetheless, and he is that voice from behind the curtain. He is the Steve Cattell. How are you doing, my brothers?
Doing very well. Good day.
It is a good day. It's a good day. Get a little warmer today. We're getting back into them dog days of summer. But before we go any further, all y'all people listening to this, watching this, whatever y'all are doing, I need you to go to the YouTube channel. I need you to click subscribe. I then need you to like it, share it, and maybe even throw a comment in. And then I need you to click that notification bell so that when I put it up that we're doing another episode, you'll know when we go live.
There you go.
So I need you to do this so we can grow this thing so we can get bigger and louder and we can really, start
Thank
pissing
God
people
you didn't
off.
say prouder.
No.
Can't say that.
We get bigger and louder and really start pissing people off. Hi. No, just kidding. So today, America, we've done part 1. We've done part 2.
Yep.
And now we're doing the trilogy.
Yes.
Of Politics for Dummies.
Yes.
And our friend Steve Cattell has put some questions. I'm also going to invite, not saying that we will get to him because he has a lot of questions. There's a lot more I thought he was going to have. But if you're in the live and you have a questione, we may get to it depending on what it is.
Yeah.
So drop it, please. And if you're watching this after we're done the live stream, still pop those questions in the comments.
Yeah.
Because later, most likely we're going to do this again because I actually enjoy doing this. It's a nice reprieve between a lot of the other BS sometimes.
And we're getting close to September.
We're getting close to September.
That means it's going to be... That's when all the shenanigans is going to start.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Yep, shenanigans. September, October, November.
Hey, Fava.
And it's still fun to do this. Steve comes up with some really good questions. And if you got any, throw them in. They may get added to the list at another time. So that's what we are doing today.
So let's start her off.
Oh wow, he's ready to jump.
Yeah, why not? What do you want to like? You want to keep going
to death?
Yeah. I can monologue for a while and give a dissertation.
Hey, that's what your little like personal accounts are for.
I don't get many of these. I want my time.
I reserve time. Go ahead.
All right, so the first one I'm going to put up here is, since Trump has been indicted, can he still run for president?
Sure can.
Yes.
Indictments don't mean anything.
Okay. Now, because I don't watch anything, and because I don't have any news, what was the indictments actually for? And put it in dummy terms.
Okay, all right. First,
that's really hard to do, but we'll try to give you the dummy version.
First, I'm going to start off by saying that what was he indicted for? Bullcrap.
All across the board.
Absolute bogus. It is.
You have 4 states.
It is an attack.
You have 4 states
against a person who wants to run for president. That is election tampering, as far as I am concerned. I know my brother holds the same.
Yeah.
Opinion.
In the sense of this, I would say this: if you have a valid case and what you are trying to bring to light in against this individual who's running for president or attempting to run for president, if there is something that in the personal assessment of what they have done is actually criminal to the extent of it is very harmful to the populace, i.e., let's just say if somebody was
Sniffing babies.
text smafficking.
Got you.
Gotcha.
What?
Gotcha.
Text? What?
Text smafficking. I'm saying it for a reason. And they got caught text smafficking. They should definitely get tried for it. There he goes. Finally got it. Light bulb. Okay.
Why are you not saying the actual word?
Because I don't want to say it in the first 5 minutes of our episode. You are on YouTube.
If you're doing the topic of
You're on YouTube.
Sound of Freedom,
You're on YouTube. Just pay attention. Know the lines. Okay? I do. You should do it too. So anyway.
I don't care.
It doesn't matter. Everybody knows what I'm talking about anyway.
Kid taking.
Okay, thank you. But if they were doing that, this person should not be in the office of presidency.
Facts.
Right.
Now let's go with something that's more maybe problematic, right? If this person has done illegal trading or some form of illegal dealings with foreign nationals or enemies of our country, that person should not have an access to political office either because they're a danger to the security. Oh, I know. But people that have done this, unfortunately, get in there because there's never actually a entry of paying attention to those deals because a lot of those deals are considered in line with the political agenda of at least a party of one side. So these are things that I think that are detrimental or dangerous to our country because you are putting our country at risk. Right? Now, what are they trying to try him on?
There are 4 specific things.
4 states. You have D.C., you have Georgia,
yep,
you have Florida,
yep,
and you have New York. All 4 of these states have indicted Trump on
a different thing.
On very different things. The one that started this whole ball rolling was the New York one with the District Attorney Bragg. He basically came up with the
illegal use
of campaign funds, which actually is not Donald Trump. They're not going after Trump. They're going after Trump's treasurer of his campaign finances.
Okay.
But because the media has drummed it up, because it's his office and from the desk of Donald Trump, that by association, Donald Trump is being indicted.
So, in other words, it's like somebody on Twitter saying that Louder with Crowder is responsible for somebody saying some really hurtful things to somebody else.
Well, no. That's what's happening with the January 6th
right,
stuff.
That's happening. And so
that's DC.
That's DC. So DC is about the January 6th incitement, basically to go to the Capitol and make your voices heard peacefully and patriotically, which was audibly said
was
from
apparently
him,
a dog whistle.
which was apparently a dog whistle. And the intent that he had in code somewhere in that message was to go and siege the Capitol and do harm. And try to kill Pence, which was nothing he said.
Well, there was a few people that there were bad actors.
They're called feds. But there were people that were doing things. There were people that were doing things and saying things. What they were? It's obvious. I know. Just because nobody else wants to say it.
No, I'll say it all day because it's raps. Right? Who's Ray Epps?
Right. So anyway, you look at the whole picture and you look at the January 6th thing. DC trial is trying to basically state that what he was doing was inciting a riot and call to violence, and the violent extremism that took place on January 6th was because of what he had done. Now, they have to prove intent, and they're going to really have a hard time. But it doesn't matter because you're dealing with a very blue area and a bunch of people who very much hate Trump.
Those people will be on the jury.
Will ignore actual evidence and could very well prosecute
the judge
him
who's on
and find him guilty, even though everything statistically and factually would lead to even a hung jury.
Well, here's the thing. And the judge, it has been all through this, she's been on the January 6th stuff. Right. She's been handing out harsher punishments than even Merrick Garland, our AG, stronger than even he suggests should be the crime, should be the punishment for the crime. So she's going after Trump Like, she's a headhunter. Okay,
now
absolutely.
The Florida case is probably the worst case of all. This is when you heard about them seizing the documents out of Mar-a-Lago.
Right. Okay.
This is basically him having a document of some sort.
He actually admitted,
right, which
that he wasn't supposed to.
Which was not for him to be lolding. We'll just leave it at that.
Let's just put it this way: before he left the White House, he forgot to say this is no longer.
This document, because as the president, he can declassify anything.
He forgot to say that this specific.
He forgot to say this specific document was declassified. They want to basically run him over with every single conviction. This one's a no-brainer because if you're going to, and I go, actually, that's the one out of all the cases, I want him to be found guilty. You know why? You now set a precedent of what you're going to do to the other president who had a bunch of illegal documents that he didn't have the right to disclose because he wasn't
when he was
president.
In the Senate.
He was vice president and senator with the possession of unclassified documents that he had in his house.
No, they were classified. They were not.
They were classified. He had them.
Yeah, he didn't.
And he did not have the ability to declassify them.
Yeah.
So if he did get indicted for that,
no, he's been indicted.
He's already been
indicted.
What
an indictment means is basically they are going to try him in the court of law with a jury to find him either not guilty or guilty of the crimes that they're accusing him of.
Now, that is all an indictment is. Easiest one for him to get out
of. In any of these indictments, will he be detained or imprisoned for the indictments?
Well, he's already gone. He's already gone in.
He's been fingerprinted.
They've already done the perp walk, so to speak, for all of them.
Which is not a perp walk because it really wasn't. He showed up for the depositions and he showed up for all the meetings and all that.
They fingerprinted him.
Indictment means really nothing. It just means he's going to go
guilty of that.
If he is found guilty, he could then be served a punishment based off of what the jury or what the judge renders as the consequences of his actions.
Yeah, and then now, mind you, and then there's Georgia, which is
the newest one,
which is the election, which is the RICO case for election tampering.
Which is if you recall, there was a big news burst about a Trump phone call to the person who was.
Well, no, it was a Trump phone call to the governor of. It was to Kemp. It was to Governor Kemp of Georgia.
No, I don't think it was him. It was somebody else.
It was Kemp.
Whatever. Whoever it was, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. He called this guy, and in that phone call, he basically was telling them how, because if you recall, in this time at 2020,
4 o'clock in the morning,
there was a pipe burst.
That didn't burst.
There was There was a pipe burst, and they had to stop counting in Georgia, and they told everybody at the time Trump was up by like 9 points. 9 percentage points in the polls in Georgia at the time. He was clearly winning the race by a landslide in a, by the way, red state of Georgia that he pulled really high and really well in. So he was clearly the winner, and it was no doubt, and they were pretty much done counting the votes except for the, guess what, absentee ballots. They hadn't finished counting absentee ballots, but a pipe burst. And so all counting stopped, and they were not going to continue counting until they fixed it. And then they would resume counting, might take another couple days to finish the count. But they notified all the counters, and everybody was told to go home because, now the people who were told to go home were the people who were watching the votes count. The vote did not stop. They pulled cases out from underneath and proceeded to continue to count absentee votes to the point extending where Joe Biden had then taken almost 12,000 point or 12,000 vote total lead over Donald Trump in Georgia, giving him the state. Okay. Trump calls and basically says, you need to go and find another 12,000 votes because we know we won this state. And basically all he was saying was not go make up votes, but go do your job recount the votes that are supposed to be not correct. And it's not go find me votes that said Donald Trump is president. Go find the votes that said that Joe Biden should have been picked, but they're clearly wrong.
Yeah.
Because that just shifts them back over.
Essentially what this is, do you know who Stacey Abrams is?
No.
Never. She was going up against Kemp for governorship of Georgia. She lost. She has been an election denier on that one.
She did not concede the election.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you concede or not. You still lost. But she spent 4 years. She spent 4 years fighting it and trying to prove that it was
by Dominion voting machines that they were able to be tampered and that she lost the election.
She did this for 4 years and then lost again, and even still didn't concede the second time. Now, so essentially, Trump is now through a RICO case, which is how they go after the mob and how they get them and how they got the mob and got everything.
So they're trying a bunch of people who were
all at once under the same thing, conspiracy, all this, but they're trying them all for doing the same thing that Stacey Abrams did. So basically, they're going to court over this because Trump wasn't as good at it as she was.
One of the charges that he was on, and this was in this Crowder said this, and this just literally made me blow my mind. But one of the charges is basically Trump tweeting out that the results they're questioning the results on OAN.
Yeah,
they're saying that was one of the trumping up the election call that he had made. And I'm like, what? Where? How? Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Insane the amount of charges real quick. They made an insane amount of charges. Mm-hmm. So to think of it this way,
it's like throwing a pot of spaghetti to see what sticks.
Let's say a criminal case, a non-specific person gets arrested. And let's say the act that was done was he robbed a store at gunpoint and shot a person and fled the scene of the crime. Now, to us, that's just that you robbed the store, right, at gun. But the criminal charges they will put on him after the investigation could be illegal possession of a firearm, assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, robbery, fleeing the scene of a crime. So there's all these charges that come up, and then in the trial, they will then press those charges up against them. Some of them might get thrown out before the case starts because the lawyers will discuss and they'll maybe pick a plea bargain, or maybe they'll say, this happened or this happened. So there's things that can happen even in pre-trial before they get to trial, where a lot of these charges might get tossed out because they're just completely bogus. But that's not the point. This is why what he said in the very beginning and what this is all about, it's all garbage. It's not about getting Trump and finding him guilty.
No, it is. They
may actually find him guilty. They may. They may not.
And here's the problem.
But that's not the point. The point is to actually demonize the character of the person to make him unelectable, because they could say, well, he was indicted for all of these things. Even though he might be found completely not guilty after court cases, it's not about that. It's the fact that he was indicted.
Because what you're going to get,
drug him through the mud, and now nobody's going to vote.
Well, no.
That's their plan.
The people that will vote. See, here's the big thing. And again, we've talked about this in other episodes. And here's, they're going to try to make something stick. Now, what my thing is, the way I look at it, and I just look at the jury pool they're pulling from. The one that he's most likely to lose, the D.C. one. Now, he'll lose the one in D.C., they'll appeal. Now, that the appellate court that is in that district will stand with that appellate, will stand with the initial. Because, again, it's another lefty libtard. Okay? Then you got to go through all the months of trying to get it to the Supreme Court. Then we have to worry about, there are three supposed conservative judges up in our SCOTUS, who they spent all their political capital getting rid of Roe v. Wade. And since then have kind of tossed up and down whether or not they want to side with conservatives or not. That's Amy Coney Barrett, that's Justice Roberts, and then I forget who the third one is. Okay, so now you're playing a gamble that if two of those three may side with the Democrats and not allow him to be found. Okay, now mind you, all this is happening. The big scheme out of all this, they're expecting something to stick. Okay, one noodle somewhere throwing a whole pot of spaghetti to finally stick. Right. Okay, if it sticks, you will see states
remove him from the ballot. Because they have written into their codified laws of their states that they're not allowed to put any committed or convicted felons on their ballot.
And their states,
then he wouldn't even be electable.
He would not be electable by certain states.
And you know which state?
New Jersey would not have him on the ballot.
New Jersey wouldn't have him on the ballot. PA wouldn't have him on the ballot. Michigan wouldn't have him on the ballot.
States that he would need to win in order to win an election.
PA, you need to win. Michigan, you need to win. If you're not, Michigan, I don't think a Republican's actually won Michigan in forever, but PA, you need. He won the first time because he won PA. Okay,
well, he could win without PA, but he would need to win.
It would become very tight.
Yes.
So
that's good. So that brings me to my follow-up question with that is, knowing the case and knowing how widespread it is, how in the world can there be a non-biased jury?
Well, so a jury selection is supposed to be a jury of peers, right?
Right.
The problem with this is that what is your peer base?
Technically, peer base should be businessmen and politicians. It should not be
voters.
It shouldn't be voters, but it's going to be voters.
Right. And the problem is they really can't. This is where these trials are probably going to end up being so drawn out and long that I don't even think, and I know that they are saying the terms of they want to make these a speedy trial. They want to get this done fast.
They've already released the DC trial schedule, and it's going to take it well into caucus season.
Now, this is the thing. I don't even think it'll finish before the actual elections. I don't think any of them will finish before the elections are held. I don't think it will.
Florida will.
But Florida's probably going to get thrown out.
I don't know if it's going to get thrown out because she's legit going for it.
But it doesn't matter if she goes for it. It's not going to make it like it.
But
right, whatever.
If the judge doesn't throw it out, it goes.
I know.
Like that, and the judge is going for it, even though she is a Trump-appointed judge.
Whatever. I still think it's probably going to get negotiated out of before it even hits trial. But anyway, that being said, the
thank you.
Any of the major trials, the DC trial, all those, the court selecting the jury phase of the actual, because the deciding whether or not to prosecute, that has happened. Those jurors have moved on; they're done.
Yeah,
the actual trial jury,
I forget what it's called.
That trial jury selection,
grand jury has already happened.
Going to take a forever moment to select because the prosecution is going to try to fill it with a bunch of people who are anti-Trumpers.
Voir dire is going to be insane.
Hate, and they are not going to get rest before finding an honest and even.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Because you can have 6 people up there that hate him to death and will honestly never change their opinion regardless of what evidence is out there. You need 6 others.
No, you only need 1.
No, you need, well, that's for a hung jury, but you need 6 people who actually are Republicans to sit on that juror.
Unfortunately, it's going to
be hard to find.
Not only that, with now sitting through voir dire, I because I have been in jury duty this week, and I still got possibly one more case to sit through selection for. The way voir dire works, and this was explained to us by the judge, each side only gets so many. They go, yeah, we don't want that one. Take it out.
Yeah, there's a limit.
There's a limit. So you can only go so far. But there's a laundry list of questions, and those questions are submitted early. Like you watch it on TV and you see voir dire done on TV and you act like those questions are just made up on the fly. Yeah. They're not. I get a written statement of all the questions before I go to even signing in
and you can be literally kicked off of the jury pool before you're even getting to selection, which is what happens now anyway. You find that out anyway.
The process is going to be forever. The DC one, again, I think the New York one, whatever. The
Bragg has no case.
Georgia,
Georgia's a full case too. It's nothing. There's nothing.
I understand that at all. But again, I don't.
Literally, the basis of this case is they have to prove that the case in Georgia is basically this: do you believe that Trump believed he won the state?
But that's not how. How RICO goes.
I understand. That doesn't matter. The other people can turn that. I understand your point there. I'm not talking about that.
I'm talking about actual RICO. They put a whole RICO case on him.
I'm talking.
That's the Georgia case.
I know it's not just that. It isn't just that. The case still has to be proven on merit. Like they can't. You can't go. Okay, we're going to go for all these people with what evidence? That you still have to present evidence.
Did it. Okay. You do not understand what Giuliani did in New York with RICO cases? This is exactly how they did it. They did it with the mob. They didn't have evidence for everybody, but they still brought everybody in.
But you need to have that person turn or you got nothing.
But they can drag it out until they can. Here's the thing.
You're very negative.
I'm not negative.
You're very negative.
So if they do, anyway, then chances are this is going to get drug out so long, it probably won't even matter until...
Well, it could, because if he gets convicted and he gets locked up for felony charges, he's not going to be able to be the president. He'll be the vice president.
And mind you, the more
whoever he picks as VP will be the person who's going to run this country. If he gets elected.
Well, if he got elected. Yeah.
If he gets elected as president and gets arrested, he would then be... And this is where this is really stupid, because guess what happens? Okay, Trump goes to jail. Cool, fine. His vice president, let's just say Vivek Ramaswamy is his VP. I don't know if he'll be his VP. Doesn't matter. But let's say he is. Okay, now Vivek is the president. Guess what he can do as president? As seated president. I'm going to...
Not Georgia.
Huh?
Not Georgia.
He could literally...
Not Georgia. Their laws for pardon is you must first serve 5 years in prison before being pardoned.
Okay. Well,
that is Georgia law.
Well, I thought presidential powers could override every state's pardon.
Governor doesn't have power over it. The president doesn't have power over it. That is in their constitution.
But anyway, presidential pardon, basically, he could pardon him.
Hold on. And this is the other part of it. Whatever. It's 5 years. You've served 5 years of your prison sentence. Wait, hold on. Let me finish what I'm saying. 5 years of your prison sentence, and you don't have any other pending cases.
He's so negative.
It's not negative. I'm stating facts.
You are very negative about that. Your stance on this right now is Trump is not going to win any of these cases, and that's it.
No, no. I believe that
based on what you just said in this conversation, you've literally told me how he has no chance.
No, the only one he has no chance to win is DC.
New York. The only one.
No, he can win Florida. I think they're going to drag it out. It's going to happen.
So Florida's the one I actually would like to see him get convicted, but I told you why. But he probably won't get convicted.
I don't think he'll get convicted in Florida.
You're negative on your New York is a joke, but
New York is absolutely
he could still lose that just because New York is completely blue, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I said with jury pool.
DC, same thing. Same response, and then Georgia, like it's Rico.
Georgia, I said I don't know. Georgia, I said I don't know. What I'm saying with Georgia is Georgia's the kind of like I have. And the problem with Georgia, because yes, New York, D.C., Florida, the minute a Republican becomes president, they can pardon him. Georgia, it's 5 years of your term started. Also, you can't have any other pending cases. So that 5 years doesn't start until all pending cases are done. So if he ends up in jail in Georgia, just saying if he ends up in jail in Georgia and DC's not done, Florida's not done, but
here's the thing. If he is convicted in any of these indictments, it doesn't matter. It's game over.
Okay.
Which is why his electability is zero.
But then the problem becomes a new precedent has been set.
Which
basically means at this rate, it is
Do you know what I'm not hearing?
Guns a-blazing on every Democrat representative, bring up Trump charges and try to get them.
Do you know how we can stop all that? Well, do you know how that we can stop DC today?
Another storm the Capitol?
No. Surprisingly. Look, I hadn't thought about this.
No, actually show up at the court. Show up at the court.
I'm not hearing anybody. I'm not hearing anybody on the right. I'm not hearing Trump saying anything about this. I've actually heard this from another source. Okay, and it could work. Who holds the purse strings for the DOJ? Question: Who owns the purse strings to the DOJ? Department of Justice.
Yeah.
The House of Representatives.
Who
controls the House?
Right now, slim margin. We do.
We do. Who did Trump back to become Speaker of the House and help him get the job as Speaker of the House?
He's going to do it?
Right now, Trump should be going, hey, McCarthy, I got you your seat. I got you your job. Why are you not saying
look how bad that would look.
Defund the DOJ.
Look how bad it would
look. Defund the DOJ until this stuff is over with.
Yeah, see, I think that would look just as bad as what you're saying.
I think it's actually all Republicans, all conservatives should be doing it.
They should do it. I think the House should do it, yes. But I don't think Donald Trump should do anything. Because at that point, it becomes more.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Calling him is not doing anything. Look, I got you your job. You should be defunding it. He backed him. And I believe.
Spinning this in a little bit more positive direction now.
Thank you.
But no, I'm just.
It's fine.
No, but it's the absolute. People got to stop. Look, I'm a realist. Okay, I look at the positive. I look at the negative. I hope Trump gets out of all this crap because yes, the precedent, everything. But I'm also a realist, and I realize that the enemy is not playing by our rules. They're playing by their own. And right now, their rules are working. Why? Because we're trying to play by our rules.
One question, man. You just lit him up like a Roman candle.
No, but this is why Republicans need to wake. This is why Republicans need to wake up. and thinking that walking around with your head down and just doing your job, everything's going to be okay.
I regret this decision.
So
I'm just trying to get everybody to be real.
It's fine. I understand.
Go ahead.
So I like this one. This is an easy one.
You say that.
I do. It is. Who do you think was our best president and why?
Well, I mean, generally, I think everybody. All right, for Republican status, I think everybody would just go Reagan. Although, Reagan did a lot of things, but Reagan was not. I would not quintessentially say Reagan was the best president of all time.
Now, see, me personally, I would have said Clinton, and here's why. The reason was because he got rid of the debt.
He did not.
No, he did not.
Okay.
No, he did not.
So
That was House of Representatives.
And not to mention, the House of Representatives, represented by Newt Gingrich, who was a Republican, was responsible for getting and this is the falsehood. He did not get rid of the debt. He balanced the budget.
Well,
For
he
one of the
doesn't
first
balance-
times.
No, he didn't balance the budget.
No.
No, he did not balance the budget. The House of Representatives is the ones that puts the budget together. All he does is sign it and accept it.
Correct. And I'm not saying that
he didn't
Clinton
balance
did
it. The
Clinton had a
House
plan, though.
balanced
But
it.
Clinton did have a plan. And you
stealing
can't,
money from Americans with the bad deals he was giving to other countries, giving other countries great money and us a bad deal, which Trump got rid of. So
I'm not talking
all
about
Clinton can do was do things with Monica and play saxophone.
Look, again, you thought you were getting positive. Not going to happen. He ate from the bad tree
Eat
today.
the Snickers.
He does
or
eat
something.
Snickers.
Pizza.
I'm not even hungry. I'm in a good mood.
No, what you ate today, brother, but you are just like
I'm coming out with the
bitter
facts.
root.
Bill
That
Clinton.
wasn't the question. The question was your favorite president. Why?
You said Bill Clinton.
There's a reason why I can come up. I can show a million reasons. I could say a million reasons as to why Bill Clinton wasn't. Epstein Island might even be one of them.
All right.
Okay, but
to a undisciplined or an unlearned person, a voter or non-voter, of somebody who just sees and this is again typically because you see a painting of pictures of president-elects that are doing things. The news bias was not really as bad as it is today,
but it was
still biased then because they were painting Clinton in a very, very, very rewarding and good light, and they basically couldn't once the scandal happened. So once the scandal happened, Clinton became a person that they had to just start bridging away from. And focusing on other people, and guess who they focused on? Hillary.
Yeah.
So they became this light on Hillary that became this beacon of hope and futures or whatever. The things about the Clintons that are bad are really the things that nobody knew about until more recent developments, which is way after.
You mean the list of people that suicided themselves?
They didn't suicide themselves. They just were killed. They were just
somehow
Clinton.
You can reach behind with a shotgun.
They were Clinton. They were Clinton.
But my point was that during that time, I've never had a living wise in my non-political way. Living in that era was the easiest that it has ever been in my entire life.
So that actually was the product of his predecessor. So one of the keys, one of the keys that people don't understand.
Two predecessors.
But generally speaking, Reagan was the reason why you were doing so good.
Okay.
But the policies of presidents aren't felt. So a lot of things
depending on the policy
depends on the policy. When presidents get elected, if they can work with the House of Representatives, generally that representative body is the same political level,
at least they can compromise
or can
a little.
Work together,
cross the aisle a
bit, work with the president in bringing forward working policies for the betterment of the country. You get those policies enacted, but they don't usually take root until the president is out. And the reason is,
or at least second term,
second term.
Most times it's second term you start feeling.
And the reason is because policies can't be spent. The monies that are allotted for policy can't be spent because monies are already allotted from the previous term's president. So a lot of money is based off of income revenue, basically taxpayer dollars. That money comes in, but it's already being allocated. So we're at a bad point. This is what that debt balancing problem is. We're spending money before it's arrived.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now what happens is they build policy with the knowing of what will come, and when the money comes, then they can put this policy into effect. So the policies presidents come up with aren't usually effective.
Trump's only hit so immediate because of how bad the Obama
any
executive order
he killed a lot of Obama policy, which was immediately shifting things into the red into the black for a lot of people.
Red be bad.
Okay. But he then started enacting policies, but because he had a completely Democrat Senate and a completely Democrat House, he had to do things through what are known as executive orders. Those executive orders, when the next president gets in, can easily be squashed. And that's exactly what Biden did.
Yep.
Biden squashed your gas when Trump was president was going down to almost one of the lowest prices it's been since the 1980s.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay? And in immediate fashion, when Joe Biden was president, day one, he literally squashed the pipeline deal that Trump did by executive order, and gas prices went up by $4 instantly in the next month and a half or so.
It was ridiculous.
It was insane to the point where you're paying in California almost $7 a gallon.
And that's the problem when you lead with executive order.
When you lead with an executive order, it can be squashed. But when you do it by policy through House and Senate, and you get it voted through by bill, then you can have it enacted to the point where then that policy takes effect.
Yeah, so
it stays in effect.
So that ease we had during the Clinton times was because of
Reagan and Bush. Furthering those
Bush wanted to hit with more taxes.
No. Hold on. I'm not talking about Bush's taxes, but where Bush didn't do well in light of what Reaganomics had given, the taxpayer dollars during Bush campaign kind of saddled people because there was war. Okay. Because if you remember during Bush, we had the Kuwait, Saudi Arabia.
Right.
War.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we had Desert Storm.
Yeah. What you might remember it as. Yes. When Clinton took over, he pushed out the war, right? Because that was his running campaign, and promised to balance the budget. Well, he didn't have to do anything to balance the budget. He just stopped the Bush spending on the war, and it made it look like because the Reagan deals continued to run. Newt Gingrich basically
and the Republicans the budget.
Helped make the money that was coming back from the war go to things that were better for the country.
So then, Nolan, you would say that Reagan
probably was the best, more recent president.
Reagan. I
would have to say Lincoln.
Well, yeah, for obvious reasons. But
for a lot more reasons.
Mine
always shocks people. Carter.
No. Oh, God, no.
Joe Biden. He's your favorite president.
No. Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's Democrat, but
that's fine. So
the man was a blue collar redneck that wore his tomahawk while in the White House, and had his buddies over for
very
drinking
different
barbecue.
time.
So knowing that all these things got skewed, especially from my perspective, seeing that Clinton was, from my perspective, Clinton was good.
Remember that deal we were a part of with Canada and with China? Yeah. Those deals that we had that Trump got rid of.
Yeah,
those were all done by Clinton.
Oh,
the Paris Accords was Clinton.
Yeah.
They were I believe the Paris Accords was Obama.
Clinton.
Either way, still the other deals that we had with Canada, where we were basically in the deal, the trade deal. We were
bad trade deals.
Trump was Clinton did horrible.
Tons of bad deals. I'm going to get rid of all these bad deals. We're just being taken advantage of.
And we were.
And we were. We're footing the bill for all these people, and I'm just going to put an end to that.
That's why we almost walked out of the UN. When reality was, he really should have pulled us out of the UN.
So then, knowing that, how can we trust the newspaper?
Can't.
Media?
Can't.
Anything online?
Can't. No. Do your own research. You have to do your research.
Online, so the internet is your safest bet. Anything that is. So here's the best way I can tell you to run through this. It's the oldest adage in the world, and it always works.
Okay.
Follow the money.
Yep.
If a billionaire is behind it, they're invested in it for a reason, because it keeps making them money. And so every cable network,
right,
including Fox, which is now owned by Disney, okay?
CNN Light.
No offense, but guess what? Follow the money. If you can trace it back to either one of the major tech giants, Meta, X, which was Twitter. Okay. I'm not saying Elon's a bad dude,
No.
but Elon's
It's
got a lot
issues.
of money,
He's got a lot
and
of
Elon's money market is going to be based off of whether or not it's profitable or not. And if it's not profitable, he
won't.
will do things to make
Yep.
sure it stays profitable. So that could change
I
and
just
influx.
realized I put 8 a.m., not 8 p.m.
Okay. Wrong time. So anyway, you got Meta, you got X, you got Google, Alphabet, YouTube.
Yep.
Okay. You have Apple. And what's the fifth one that I'm thinking of and I can't think of?
There isn't a fifth one because Meta owns all of them. Like Meta owns a crap ton of them.
Disney.
Oh, okay.
Disney, because
So
Disney,
then-
because you got Hulu, Disney Plus, all that stuff. All that is.
Where am I going to go to pick the right
All
candidate?
right, I'll tell you what I do. Now there are a lot of people that I watch who have been doing this a lot longer than I have, and they show receipts. Okay, that would be people like Crowder, Bongino, Steve Dace, a lot of people on Blaze actually.
Yep.
As much as I have an issue with a lot of things that
Daily
Daily
Wire.
Wire has done, but they will do receipts.
Yep.
May not agree with what their stance on things, but they will still do receipts. Okay, you take their receipts and dig further. That's what I do when we do episodes like this, and when I do videos on other media, I take what they've done and I go further.
And here's the thing.
And that's the way we should be. We should be
Right.
taking things that people come out with
If you're
and
not-
taking it further.
and not just the receipt production, but also, and again, going back to the follow the money issue.
And
right?
they usually follow the money better than we can because they have better
if you are
things to
are
investigate.
following the money and it traces back to a billionaire or multimillionaire of some sort, then you have to look at the other category, right? So once you follow the money, that's
Then
good.
it's what's
That's
their
fine.
character and integrity.
But
what's
then you
their-
got to go, what is the motivation of this person's money, right? So if you have like, okay, Amazon. Oh, that was the other one. Amazon. Not,
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not-
Amazon.
it's not Disney, it's Amazon.
It wasn't Disney. It was Amazon.
Because Amazon owns everybody's routers.
Jeff Bezos. Okay.
Amazon.
Right. Jeff Bezos. Now, people use Amazon because it is a convenient way to shop online. Perfect. Not a problem. Do you know that Amazon is probably the leading supplier of Chinese garbage
Yep.
known to mankind, infesting the United States with increasingly large amounts of Chinese communist propagandic baloney, and also on top of it, profiting from that trade deal and negotiating with China. So they are literally bolstering China's economy
See, this is
by
why
robbing from every American person on
This
the
is
planet
why
with
y'all
junk.
people laugh at me because of how I do. Like, I mean, buying the tech that we have here, we don't have a whole lot, but I bought it all myself and I did tons
Of
of research.
Yeah.
Because this camera says it does everything that this camera does. It looks exactly the same. Where is it made? What company makes it?
And I'm not saying
these-
I'm not
there's-
saying go on an anti from made in China movement. Like
No.
that's going to be nearly impossible to do. But because there's a lot of things that are produced in China.
But you got to do the research again. Even in buying consumer products, you got to do the research.
But it's not about that as much as it is where is the other side of the benefit going? If I'm buying something that's made in China and it's actually helping Chinese citizens, I don't care. Chinese citizens made it. They should be
I like the Chinese citizens. I don't like their government. Don't like
they should
their
be
government.
able to receive a workman is worthy of their wages. I want them to make money. I don't want them to be out of pocket. I'm not expecting them to make it for free. But if the Chinese government is making money off of it because it's dealt through trade and it's basically bolstering their economy and not helping the people, I have a problem with it. And
Which
that's
is
what
most of
Amazon
the
is
products
doing.
out there.
So that's what Amazon's doing. All right. So, when you have Google, YouTube, what is that? What's going on? Well, censorship battles. You have all that. You have other countries that have more influential power over YouTube, even though the major
Why I love
supplier
that. Rumble told France to go pound
right,
sand.
the major supplier of of actual videos and media to absorb or consume from YouTube comes from, guess what country? United States.
Mhm.
Okay. But other countries are being able to tell us what we should and should not be able to say because they're pulling the purse strings.
Yeah,
on
like
YouTube and blah.
Germany came after Crowder for something he said in an episode.
So
Like,
this is,
yeah, it
this,
happens
and I'm
all the
not,
time.
and again, and this is just based off of that. So the follow the money issue, what it's not, you're not following the money just to the person. You're following the money to the person, but you're also finding out what that person is doing with the money, because that's what you really care about. Because think of it this way: if I'm giving you money and I go, hey, go use this, and you go buy Coke, and not a bottle, but the Coke, I'm not giving you $10 more.
The nose powder?
Yeah. So, like, if you're going to the White House and putting it in a locker, I'm like, no, I'm not supporting
talking to you, Hunter.
Right?
We're talking to you, Hunter.
But think about it. So if you as a consumer are going to give your support, your time, your energy, clicks, likes, views, all this stuff, that matters because it does produce something on the other end. And if you're giving that as a resource and it's going somewhere you don't want it to go, then this is where, and you've seen this with Bud Light, Target, don't consume it. What does that do?
Netflix.
Oh yeah, that's going to do. No, it will do the harm it's supposed to do.
Oh, Bud Light lose a whole lot of money, and they lost their number one status, which means now they don't get as many shelves in the stores.
And I'm not sitting here advocating you to go and protest every single company business, but if you don't like something that's going on in that business,
don't support it.
There's other options out
vote
there.
with your wallet and vote with your feet.
Plain simple. It's very, very simple. Follow the money.
So, knowing that all these candidates are usually not on the up and up, and if I'm ever going to vote, it would probably be somebody who's going to have my views.
Oh, you've already voted, but you just don't know who you voted for yet.
Yeah. But who would you say would be, out of everybody that you know of who's up for election, who would be the most Christ-like candidate? Yes, I understand.
Sadly and unfortunately, that's not really clear cut because you're dealing with politicians that will always, especially in the Republican Party. So no Democrat. I'll tell you that straight up.
Okay.
There's not a single one. Even if they profess it, it's not going to be there.
Nope.
But even if they're Republican, the problem is the conservative Christian movement is a very big base that most Republicans want to sway to vote for them when it comes to that time. Okay. And you get even the likes of like a Donald Trump, who did a very big pull in the conservative Christian wings when he was running. And Donald Trump maybe has a belief in God, and maybe he's been to church, but I would not consider Donald Trump a Christian to the level of which I would stand on Christianity.
The very fact that he said that he's never asked God for forgiveness because he's never done anything wrong.
I'm not even getting into his ego.
You have to.
I'm not getting into his ego and his verbology.
No, it's not even the ego. You state that. The biggest thing to becoming a Christian is asking for forgiveness.
Look, I know what you're saying, but Trump bloviates in every area. I don't take anything he says with a grain of salt because he blows so much smoke out of his rear end. It's hard to tell if it's a fart or a blowtorch. Like, you don't know what's going on with him. So I don't count on what he says. I count on what he does. And that's what I based even voting for him previously on, was his action plan. And what he did when he was in office, you can't argue with. You just can't. The results speak louder than anything else. So you
killing people with his vax.
Shut up! It wasn't his vax.
He paid for it.
No, he didn't. He didn't pay for it. He put money out, and he basically said, "This money goes to."
He keeps saying
this
that
money
he saved
goes,
millions.
And that's he could probably produce the receipts to show that he did.
No, he's killing millions too.
The companies were given access to government money to produce vaccines. That would have happened anyway, regardless. Whether it was by his mandate on it or if it was by voting through the Senate and passing bills, it would have gotten done. Either way, it would have happened. He just fast-tracked it because of the urgency of it. And the companies who produced it, that's what you should really be looking at, because these are the companies that should have been vetted better. Because I'm sorry, the two major companies that produced the vaccine
they had so many lawsuits against them already.
were the worst two companies that could have ever produced a vaccine known to mankind.
Yeah.
And they were horrible companies to do it. They were the biggest big pharma companies known to mankind. And if you want to know where most of your narcotic drugs come
Pfizer and Moderna.
Pfizer and Moderna. So there's a problem if those are the two people producing your vaccines. So I'm not saying that everything Trump did was great. I'm not even going to go ahead and say anything he's going to do now is great. I don't know. But here's what I know. If you're looking for right now, I think your base of voters or your base of candidates that are out there right now, they're going to probably blow a lot of smoke towards Christian conservative movement because they need their votes, they need their support. I don't think Christian conservatives should be looking for the most Christ-like candidate. I think they need to be looking at the candidate who has the most interests that align with the conservative vote and that you would pray for in hopes that they would make more godly decisions. To be honest,
I put it this way.
I actually think there is, but
Really?
he would definitely not be a Christian on paper.
Who?
Vivek.
False. He's not a Christian on paper.
No, he's not a Christian,
But he's also.
but he's a respecter of Christian beliefs.
He says he is.
Look,
Again, the
saying,
easiest one
the
is.
things he talks about, the things he says, tell me that he actually
Look,
has foundational principles that actually align with Christian foundational principles.
But the problem is, and here's the
What
problem.
are you going to do about it?
Look,
He's anti-abortion.
he is anti-abortion.
Okay,
Vivek,
so pro-life, that's a win.
Okay.
Okay. What else?
All
He's
right.
pro-Second Amendment.
all right. Well,
What
here's
else?
my thing.
He's pro-First Amendment.
Okay, so
He's pro-Constitution. What else do you
he's
want?
also wishy-washy and talks out the side of his neck.
I mean, look.
Speaking about the
Because
Constitution, I have
it-
a really good question for that.
Go ahead.
Not even gonna let me say.
No, we're not going to get into it.
Wow.
No, you need
That
more
was part-
happy juice.
That wasn't part
No,
of the-
it's not a bad thing. It's just that in 2022 he
It wasn't
wrote a
part of the
book
question.
bashing Trump and praising Mike Pence, but now he's walking around like he's Donald Trump's best friend. So which is it? Are you the guy who wrote that book and hates everything Donald Trump did and you love Pence? Or are you the guy now who is trying to become the bishop of the MAGA cult?
So you would say
he produced a book.
Oh, by the way, if you were really looking for the Christian vote, though, it would be Mike Pence.
No.
But
No,
you should not vote for
should
him.
not promote
He's
him.
not. No, I wouldn't put him in the Christian vote because he's all about war profiteering.
I'm just saying.
He
He's
was
not
just
a Christian.
I'm saying you're the guy who literally states that his beliefs in God are foundationally based off of the Bible and Christian
Not.
principle. Okay, so you're supporting my point. So who's your most Christian representative person out of the candidates?
I would actually say DeSantis
It's okay.
because he's number one. He is a believer. He has
According to what? Do you know?
According to him.
According to him.
He is a believer.
Okay.
There you go.
So my point.
But he
So
also
you
has
say-
That's
the-
why we have to keep
no,
digging for each thing because of that.
Well, see, and this is the thing, and I
They're
will
going
agree.
to they're going to say things that basically make the Christian conservative.
Yeah, I mean,
movement
Bill Clinton did it.
go
I mean,
hoorah,
Biden's been doing
hoorah.
it, saying that he's a Catholic. I mean, yes, you can only know them by their fruit.
Here's the basis. The easiest basis for whether or not they are going to be able to win all right, if you are a Christian conservative and you want to vote and you need a standard
You need a
baseline of whether or not I can trust this candidate to vote for them, whether or not it is right or wrong and different. Here's your number one metric. Are they pro-life and anti-abortion? Yes or no? That is it. If you get even wishy-washy on that subject, sorry, bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
That's
Not
correct.
even a can.
And
Not even a
now,
chance.
mind you,
Yeah.
there are Republicans who are wishy-washy on that too.
Yep.
So it's not even like
You have to be, matter of fact, 100% without a shadow of doubt. No.
the last Democrat who was not wishy-washy on that, was very staunch on the fact that he was against abortion, Casey, which is what brought on Casey versus Pennsylvania Planned Parenthood, and he ended up losing that in the Supreme Court. Okay, and that was before being attacked on Roe v. Wade. He tried to take Roe v. Wade out in PA, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And he was the last Democrat to come out and go, I'm against abortion, and we need to make it a...
It shouldn't be a federally mandated rule.
Well, no, this was against PA. It wasn't federally
Should be
mandated.
state
It just
mandated,
went back to the Supreme Court. But he was trying to fight it in the state of Pennsylvania and make it so that the very max... Like, look, we can't make it. You can't force people not to, whatever. But the very max, he goes, I'm against abortion, but the very max should be the first trimester. He tried to bring it back, and they fought him on it, and now it's where it's at. So that was the last Democrat to
And
do
so
it.
that's the basis for any Christian conservative looking to vote. That would be my lead question to anybody, and that goes in every election, not just federal, state, local,
Yep.
whatever. Yep.
So one last one, because we're getting on close to time, because we're talking about the Roe v. Wade thing and everything
Mhm.
else. Can presidents or people of, whether it be electoral, judicial or legislative or anything, could they change any of the amendments we currently have? Like, example, the Second Amendment, which I'm very for. So is there any way they can make an amendment to change that?
No.
Well, number one, remember Roe v. Wade was never a law.
It was never
Right,
codified.
but
It was never in the Constitution. They constantly try.
But can it
Okay.
still? Because I know there are amendments.
In order to amend the Constitution, okay, first, just like any other law, it's got to go through the House first.
Okay.
Then after it wins the House, it's got to go to the Senate.
Yep.
Then after it goes to the Senate, it does not go to the president. It goes to the states, and 2/3 of the states have to accept it.
Okay.
And I also want to point out that in the Senate, though, it cannot be done through the deciding vote being like a 50-50 split.
No, it's got to be 2/3.
It has to be 2/3. It cannot be done through another. It has to be.
It's very stringent. It's hard to get an amendment in the Constitution.
Very hard to have any constitutional law.
And even if it becomes approved, well, no, actually, after the Senate does go to the president, after the president signs it, it then has to be accepted by 2/3 of the states for it to become an amendment.
That's a lot for that to happen.
No, so that means every state does an election, does a ballot in their own states to go, are we for this or against this? Right. And then it goes through. So it's a long process.
It is not something that would just be done by the president stamping his fingers.
Can our state's constitution be changed quicker?
States are, yes.
Because the state is only dealing with the state.
And
so it's a similar process, but usually those are done through your general election ballots as like an additional voter related.
Well, no, and I believe I do not know entirely.
But still has to go through,
I'll give it for instance.
It would still have to go through our house.
For instance, Ohio. I haven't really looked up to know the intricacies on how to make an amendment in New Jersey. Each state is different. Like Ohio, right now with Ohio, they can do it one of two ways. They can go through their version of Senate and do it that way, or they can do it by a state vote, asking the voters. And if the voters agree to it, they can bypass the actual government of Ohio and get it put on by that way. Now, New Jersey, I believe
New Jersey does it through the voter lines because it goes through the state. The governor would put it through the House.
I believe it's a two-tier thing.
The governor puts it through the House. If the House votes to approve it, it then goes to the voters.
Yeah, but what I said about Ohio is they don't have to go through anything of the House or anything.
But I'm saying I believe in the state of New Jersey. I could be wrong, but I believe in the state of New Jersey. It has to go through the House. It gets voted on through the House. I think it's still like a 2/3 majority vote passed through the House. And then it goes to the public for the vote. And if the majority of the vote is in favor, it then goes back to the desk of the governor.
Does that have to be 2/3 too?
I think it's a majority of the vote.
I think it's more than a minor majority, but it's at least a majority.
It's got to be a majority by a certain count, probably of sorts. So
pass the error. No, we codified. No, I believe that's wrong.
We codified the marijuana law.
No, we didn't codify the marijuana law.
Yes, we did.
No, we did not. We didn't put it in our Constitution. We codified abortion, and they didn't ask anybody in the state during election.
Might still have to go through that though.
No, it's already codified.
Is it
already codified?
I don't know about that though.
They've already added it to the New Jersey state election or the New Jersey state constitution. It is already codified. He did it last year.
So it might just have to be in the House then.
Okay.
No, when it came to the weeds,
the school thing was done through that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it must be the House then.
No. Now, when it came to whether or not they wanted to,
it might have been put up as a question to the voters prior to see if it was something that would be favorable to us or not.
So I'm saying I believe it's only the way. This is how New Jersey is. They think that everybody's too stupid to make the right decision, so they bypass it by.
What? You said New Jersey. Government. Period. End of just government, because it is not just the state of New Jersey.
I understand that.
So then, knowing that how blue this state is,
yep.
Why would I want to vote in a state that I know that's not going to win any of the majority?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. 5 year. Yeah. Wait, what year are we at now? We're at 2023. Okay, just as early as 3 years ago, we only had 2 counties that were red. We now have 3.
It can happen. So
this is one. Do you want to change it?
It changes,
Vote.
But it changes. And so you have to look at things districtly, right? Our state generally south of the middle of the state.
There's no.
I said the middle of the state. I did not say what you. I already know the Bear's angry. I ain't trying to give him any other kind of touch.
There's no such thing as Central New Jersey.
I didn't say
you are.
Central. I said there's a line in the middle of the state dividing it into two sections: North Jersey, South Jersey. Okay, no Central, South, North.
We're not big enough to have a Central.
We're not big enough to have a North and a South, but we got that.
Originally, we were East and West.
Doesn't matter. Regardless, okay. So anyway,
they were actually two different colonies.
We have a North, we have a South side, and basically, statistically, if you look at the voter logs, generally speaking, with the exception of like Atlantic City, maybe a couple like Camden and
Atlantic City, Camden,
some
and
like
Gloucester
maybe some
County
other counties
tend to be blue.
Not county. I'm talking about cities, because generally where the cities are where they tend to go a little more blue because there's a little bit more
population
college,
density.
So blue. There's a little bit more of that stuff. Gotcha. So where you have that, you generally see a little bit more shift in the blue. But anyway, that being said, generally South Jersey is very Republican. But here's the problem. A lot of the Republican voters in the state of New Jersey don't vote. And that's a problem. Why don't they vote? Because they think just like you.
Let me
because they think we're in a blue state. Generally speaking, I see the elections every year. I watch the states. I watch the counties. I watch the votes tally. And it's usually a landslide election going.
Let me give you two stats.
Well over like 12 or 13 points into Democrat. It doesn't seem like you're moving the needle. So why bother?
Let me give you
20,000.
Let me give you actually three quick facts. Number one, 1960s, Jersey was completely red. And before.
A lot of states were red back then. But
1916 before, we were red. So in the case of 60 years, it changes to a deep blue.
Right.
Okay? Now, sooner than that, and we're slowly fighting it back. Okay, number two, Governor Murphy was the first one in those 50 to 60 years that they were switching the state to blue that a Democrat ever won 2 times in a row.
And, by the way, just so we're clear, almost lost to a nobody.
The first round.
Nobody.
The first time.
He almost lost to Chattarelli.
Chattarelli wasn't a nobody.
He wasn't nobody.
No, he wasn't.
All right. Outside of this person right here, nobody knew about him.
No, they didn't know about him because he'd held political office before.
I guarantee you, if you were to poll people in New Jersey, nobody knew who Chattarelli was. Heck, you didn't even know, what's his face? Singh? Yeah, you didn't know her Singh until I told you about him, and he was debating Chattarelli.
Well, no.
So you had two guys who nobody knew.
The one I really didn't know was Rizzo, and he was a plant.
But again,
we ain't gonna go down that road.
But anyway, even in the state of New Jersey, nobody knew our Republican candidate. Nobody knew.
Like I said, the second fact being that no other Democrat during the last 50 to 60 years had won 2 years in a row. He was the first one to do it. Every time it had been Democrat, Republican, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Republican, Democrat. Even though we were a blue state, we were still keeping Republicans in governor.
Right.
Okay. This was the first time that he went in twice. Okay. Crap. Now I had the third. The third stat is when it comes to Republicans, it's not so much that they don't even vote when it comes to the general election for governor or any other position. It's the fact that they don't vote in the primary. So we don't get people good enough to be able to go against the incumbent or whatever because they're not voting the primary.
So we're not getting the right people in to even get started to even have a
because
chance.
People go, oh, I'll just vote when it's general election. And then they don't.
Now
If every conservative in New Jersey actually voted in the primary, we might actually start seeing some good people picked to take the nomination.
All right, so I do have one more last one since this one is also an easy one you can answer.
By the way, the Constitution was amended for marijuana in the state of New Jersey, but that was a ballot question. So, but still, the point was that I think the way they did it was the ballot question was in whenever it was in to the voter base
to see if they wanted
to see if it was something that the voters wanted, and then they still went through the process. And I believe that process is then they pass it through the House, and the House then.
But they just wanted to know if they
But they tested the waters of the constituency to see if the voters.
And a lot of places fought it on grounds that
they didn't want
weederys like Bridgeton. I'll tell you right now, where I live. No pot stores in Bridgeton.
I will go back to my original point when it came to this a long time ago, and I still feel the same way about it. And I think federally it would be better than state. Legalize it, tax The living snot. Tax it at like 500%.
Tax it at how you tax cigarettes.
And guess what? You know what? Good. And I don't care, but if you're a pothead and you want to spend $150 for 2 joints, go for it. Get high. I don't care. You're not hurting me.
Just don't do it while driving and don't do it around me because I got a CDL.
But you're helping reduce the deficit.
Yes.
Thank you for doing something with your useless talent of getting high. Have fun.
So this is
for it.
One more last question that I really I needed an answer for. Why does the president have to be so old before he can even run?
That's actually not true.
Nope, he's got to be at least 40.
He has to be at least 40. I think actually
it's 38.
38. Yeah, it's not even 40.
So 38?
So the youngest we've had so far is 40.
But why? This is a really, really good question.
Yeah.
And honestly, for the first time ever, I heard a really good answer.
Okay.
We are all over 40.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. 38-year-old person gets into politics, would probably have had to been getting into politics at the age of like 18.
19,
okay. And at that level, they're doing very little things in their county, municipality, maybe moving up to maybe like the governor's house, not necessarily as a governor, but as a cabinet member in
or
their
an aide
state.
or whoever.
Okay.
They're around the process.
They are effectively working themselves up the chain. Okay. That person maybe by the age of 25, 30 possibly could be in a position to run for a political office. Could be state senate, could be even possibly governor in certain states maybe. I don't know what the age restrictions are.
I don't know what it is in Jersey.
I don't know what it is in Jersey either, but it doesn't matter. So generally, that person could be as young as maybe 30, 35, let's say, before they hit a political office level. They would have to run that office for at least a few years to be able to then go ahead and say, I would like to bid for governor or bid for president. They don't have a history. They become very untested. They become very not able to base anything off of. But here's the biggest part about it. If you had to pick somebody in this current generation coming up that would be 38 years old to run for president, do you think they would be able to handle the responsibility of the metrical balancing of taxes, negotiations across the borders, negotiating with our foreign adversaries, negotiating?
I think a 35-year-old could.
I do not.
I don't.
And I will tell you why. Because they think Fortnite is fun.
That's not.
No.
And they want to go shoot all of their enemies with.
I'm gonna say this quite clearly. My ex is 36.
Yeah.
That is not the same type of person.
Yes, it is.
But
that's her age group.
But here's the point. The further point of this is this: that there is I believe, a very sweet spot, and the older you get, the more values you have.
Mm-hmm.
You start to.
That's where it is.
You start to have a different set of values than a 38-year-old, 40-year-old. Their values maybe are their family. They are.
Do you know what the age cutoff is for the draft?
No, 30-something.
It is 35. You want to know why? Because by the time you're 35, most, not all, most of your initial core values are set in stone, and the military, which is supposed to basically destroy you to build you into be what they want you to do, to follow orders. At 35, you have no problem telling somebody to go pound sand and give them the finger. Okay? Because you don't agree with what
I don't agree with what they say.
I'm not going to change my mind on
so yes, but at 20, at 18, 19, you're in boot camp.
That makes sense.
So, but to further the,
you're still malleable at that point.
And this is where the answer was, and it's the age, the older generation, the much older generation, not just their values.
However,
but
they shouldn't be 83.
Hold on. Their values and their desire for preserving what matters. Because think about it. If you're young, you're still looking to make your way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if you're older and you've already made your way, you're looking at the generations behind you to try and make a way for them.
Also, usually around 35, you've got kids.
And I say generally because you would think that would still be the case today with the ancient of old people that are in offices.
They've forgotten everything.
But they don't have it anymore. Like, Oatmeal for Brains doesn't even know he's president. He has to be told every morning.
Wait, which Oatmeal for Brains? Let's not go.
Stop.
There's the ones in the Senate.
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. has become the most expensive senior citizen home.
But the point is that this is where I do believe, and I do strongly believe, that though term limits might be hard to pass in the verses of House and Senate, I do believe an age limit in the expiry
75
needs to be put in play.
Yeah.
And the reason is because you can't have a guy like Joe Biden who and look, pro whatever you believe in Democrat voting, whatever, fine, whatever. If you voted for Joe Biden in 2020, you thought you were going to get fighter, this guy who was
the Joe Biden that was on Senate.
Okay,
that, you
thought you were getting the meme jokes with Obama and Biden Joker. You were getting the cool sunshades, and you were getting, or what is he called, Dark Brandon now, whatever. You thought you were getting him. Okay,
nope, you got dementia.
You literally got a guy who can't
form a sentence.
Can't
walk upstairs without falling.
Can't do normal daily activities that an adult person needs to do to just survive a day. This person cannot run the country. Right. And so that's a problem, right? As the ongoing joke is that Joe Biden gets in front of the teleprompter. It's a battle of wits. And so far, Joe Biden has lost every match. The teleprompter is undefeated.
Yeah.
Okay. Get the teleprompter a WWE championship belt at this rate. Okay. It needs to have a belt. Somebody please make a belt for the teleprompter. Yeah,
so
I really want to see it.
That's good, though.
No,
I like that.
Like it yeah.
It makes sense.
And this is, again, I say the same thing with Trump as well. He's 79 now. He makes it into office. Mind you, we got almost 2 years. So we get in January of 2025 is when they actually swear you in as president.
He would be also...
He'd be over 80. He'd be over 80. Yeah. We don't need 80-year-olds.
We need younger blood. Not young blood, we need younger.
We need younger.
Okay, so
people like DeSantis. Ramaswamy is in his early 40s.
I got a question from the peanut gallery. I promise it's a lighthearted question. It's going to last 3 seconds.
Okay.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
Shrek, I love it.
Fantastic.
All right, we went on long enough. That was the last of the last.
All right.
So I have more, but obviously
that just means we can do more episodes like this, because I do like doing this. And no, I'm not angry today.
You are.
No, I'm not.
You are like you ate like a bad jelly bean or something. I don't know what you had.
No, I didn't.
He ate a chocolate jelly bean. He thought it was
exactly. That's what happened. He hates fake chocolate. He can't stand fake chocolate.
No.
So that's what happened.
Not it.
I was like, oh, it was a black licorice jelly bean. It was fake chocolate.
All right, so thank you all for coming again.
Poops.
Again, if you have watched this, you've sat through all this, and you enjoy this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Or don't enjoy it. You can still subscribe.
Yeah, still subscribe.
Even if you hated it, just still hit the thumbs up button.
You know what? If you know somebody that this entire show would piss them off, you know what? Share it to them. Just tell
them to like it anyway.
Yeah. All right,
just
do it in spite. So do that. The link tree in bio. So that gives all the information that all the things that I'm on with the social media for it, Facebook group, Twitter or X, whatever the heck it's called now.
Yes. Make sure you X your friends.
Clapper. I'm not really on TikTok anymore. I have it, but I don't go on it. I'm on Clapper. It's actually pretty good. So that's where you can find me. The email for the podcast is on there on the link tree. What's also in the link tree? This man right here. If you want to hear his past sermons, I guess I'm not supposed to say old.
I was going to say you're not going to call it the what did you say? It was stealing material.
You are stealing my material. Not the last couple of weeks, but for several weeks, he was stealing my material. Okay. But anyway, if you want to hear past sermons. You can go on, follow the link tree for the link on the link tree for our church, and you can listen to the messages. You can also email him if you would like to talk, ask questions, blah, blah, blah. And if you happen to be in South Jersey at around 10 o'clock in the morning, you can also get the address for the church and come worship with us. And we would love to have you there. See if you can last longer than other people that have showed up for a little bit and then left.
You might have had.
I'm heckling. I'm joking. But we have had people that are like, oh, you're talking politics and it shouldn't be in the church, and walk out. We've had it happen. And we weren't even really talking politics, and that was the funny thing. But you can go there. In 2 weeks, we are going to be talking. We're going to be recapping the Republican debate, which is on August 23rd.
The following one after that is going to be the Sound of Freedom?
No, that is the back to school one. The Sound of Freedom is September 26th. I'm still trying to give this guy enough time to watch it.
Got it.
Try.
So he needs to watch it. If not, I'm going to have to spoil it for him. But
no, just watch it.
Yeah, just go watch it. So that September 26th is when we're doing that.
Okay.
But in 2 weeks, we are recapping the Republican debate. We will see who shows up. We'll just go over it. We'll explain things because I'm sure everybody is bored. And I will probably be watching it on like 3 different avenues because I know of one place that'll do it. Crowder will most likely do it. Blaze will most likely do it. And then there's always Fox.
So I think they should really do like something that makes it a little bit more entertaining.
What, shock collars?
And interesting. No.
Slime buckets like Nickelodeon?
No. So what I was thinking is that they should have a timer for each talker, right?
They
So
do.
each one,
Nobody
right?
follows
right.
it.
But if you go over, Chris Christie starts to eat you.
Yeah. That'd be great.
This is good in 2 realms. Chris Christie will not be talking during the entire debate, and by the end, we might only have one.
God, that fat whale. Why he thinks he's still relevant?
You can hold on to that.
Why he thinks he's still relevant?
You can just keep that one in your back pocket. Hold on to it.
Thank you for
just like the Kamala joke that you still hold on to.
The knee pad and pee pad? Knee pad.
But that wasn't for me. It was the
seeing eye dog Kamala Harris.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, I lost it. That was the last episode of that season.
There you go.
But
so
anyway,
you put that one in your back pocket.
We thank you for joining us at the corner of Church and State where there is no separation. We hope to see you here in 2 weeks. But until then, like, share, do all that fun stuff, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Have a good night. God bless.
God bless.
And peace.
Can't help it, I just seem to see the world different. It ain't Republicans or labor rules, it's mental illness. The internet is only interested in left opinions. Cancel culture's got more power lately than the First Amendment. If you don't like it, leave. We will not defund police. We don't want no riots in our neighborhoods or in the streets. We respect freedom of speech. We protect what we believe. We don't want nobody dead, so please do not tread on me. In America